Todd Blanche has demonstrated already, he has the qualifications. No question. He was a top lawyer, top prosecutor in New York. He doesn't have the character. Okay. Pam Bondi essentially made a confession by saying that it was Epstein. It was Blanche who handled the Epstein files. She was really a show horse. He was the workhorse. So the work of this Justice Department over the first year and a half was really Todd Blanche's. And time again, when Donald Trump's personal interests are at stake, and they conflict with the nation's interest, like this slush fund, like the tax settlement with the Trump family and companies, he goes with his client, Donald Trump, rather than with the country.
Well, let's not also forget the prosecutions that he has attempted to launch just in the last few months. I mean, Jim Comey over the Seychelles and so many other things. He was talking to Sean Hannity, the Fox host, on his podcast earlier this week. And here's how he said he looks at the task ahead of him in his job at DOJ.
This is blatant, the purest form of weaponization, because he was the president. It's not, we can talk about what happened after he left, but he was the leader of the free world, and his people that worked in the executive. Okay, so they work for him. And make no mistake, everybody in the executive works for the president of the United States. And now we're sitting here saying, okay, so what are we doing? We're investigating. We have a bunch of guys investigating. Anybody, honestly, any prosecutor in this government that raises their hand and says, I want to find out what happened, I want to investigate, we have the tools in place to get them where they need to be to do it. And so, but time is not our friend.
You know, Arthur, that's quite the view of the DOJ. I mean, I think about all the various things that the DOJ is responsible for prosecuting. And it seems like Todd Blanche seems to think that the most important thing is finding attorneys anywhere in the nation who want to go after President Trump's perceived enemies.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if that was my takeaway from that. Look.
What was your takeaway from it?
Well, let me just give you a little my basis of speaking here. I work in the community where Todd was a U.S. attorney in the Southern District. I didn't know him personally then. I did have an encounter with him when he was representing the president in the courthouse. But he does enjoy amongst his colleagues an excellent reputation for his integrity, his knowledge of the law, and knowing, look, if you could look at the Trump administration, there are a lot of people who are in positions, and we may talk about one of them today, that really have no reason to be there. Todd does know the law. I mean, he knows the federal law, and he was in the Southern District, and that's where he was trained. I think a lot of people in the legal community who have to deal with not the stories you cover, but the day in and day out cases that I deal with on a regular, but not the headline cases. No. They're happy to have Todd Blanche there because he's level-headed, he's reasonable, and he was the DAG. The Deputy Attorney General really runs the office. Now, when people say about the Epstein files, he was covering up for Trump. No one is. There's so much misconception. You had Ana Navarro on here who went off on Brett Ratner, the director, about the Epstein files, and he's all over them. That's just blatantly false. That's an absolute lie.
Just to be clear, she was talking about the allegations about Brett Ratner that were actually not related to the Epstein files that caused him to be,
Well, I know she mentioned
his
something
fall
about
from
it.
grace,
She said the
so to
term
speak,
he was
in
all
Hollywood.
over the Epstein files, and he's not. There's a picture of him and his fiancée with Jeffrey Epstein.
But there are other allegations against Brett Ratner
that have nothing to do with
the Epstein files. That's also what.
But I mean, the bottom line is, I don't know how Todd Blanche covered up for Donald Trump regarding the Epstein files. There may be ways that the Epstein files came out that people aren't happy with, but I don't think that's one of them.
I can tell you how he covered up for him. Todd Blanche went down to Florida and met with Ghislaine Maxwell.
My client. Ghislaine Maxwell, my
client. That was there in prison,
and
then mysteriously she ends up in a lower security prison in Texas. But that does not.
But you said at the time, Arthur, that you thought that was basically a quid pro quo.
Let me just be very clear. I don't know that for a fact. I want to make that blatantly clear. I've spoken to Ghislaine not that long ago. First of all, people get moved within the system all the time. They just moved Keith Raniere, who's doing 120 years to a less
But you basically said, I mean, let's you know,
I mean,
I
using
believe
common
you.
sense,
I believe you when you say maybe you don't know firsthand
don't.
exactly what transpired in that conversation, but you basically said that no one would avail their client in a situation like that unless they were getting something out of it, and that the move from
That's
a
common sense.
you know a high security prison to a low security prison would be. I'll
Of
use your
course.
words.
I mean,
common
yes,
sense
but
outcome.
Let me
of
just
a
make
quid
it
pro
very
quo.
clear. I did not represent Ghislaine on the conversations with Todd. We did her appeal. But yes, I'm not going to bring any client in to see any prosecutor unless I know there's some benefit for my client. I mean,
so,
it's common
is
sense.
that ethical?
Of course it's the way the system works.
I mean,
no, tell me, what do you mean it's not ethical? It's the way it works every day.
Is that ethical in the context of the crimes that she was convicted of?
And that's what I was going to say. Is
that's the real question.
Move her from one prison for 20 years to another prison for 20 years.
To a low security prison that she is actually
it's
not supposed to be in.
Well, let me
by
just say
statute.
this.
Yeah.
Todd Blanche probably does know the law really well, but his application of the law is, I think, what is in question right now. And we all know there are different types of lawyers out here, just like there are different types of salespeople out there. Some sell snake oil, and some sell actually real goods that are going to be help.
Like coconut oil.
Coconut oil. Right?
Coconut.
We were talking about.
Right. Yeah, coconut oil.
Very funny, aren't there? But I think a couple of things. One, Pam Bondi making this omission or this basically confession that Todd Blanche was over the Epstein files. One, clearly a woman scorned. She's pissed, right? And so she's like, I'm let everybody know where the body's buried. And actually, I believe that because if you've ever worked with the DOJ in an administration, you do know the AG and the DAG actually do have separate portfolios. And while they do confer, a lot of times they move policy separately. So the strong likelihood that the DAG probably actually, meaning the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, actually was leading on the Epstein files and covered up, which makes, though, the point about his character as the Attorney General even more questionable. And this is now transcended party. You have people who are in MAGA, you have people who are Democrats, you have independents who are really concerned at the handling, not just at the Trump administration, but many of his administrations handling of the Epstein files. But because Trump ran on this as being so transparent, and there is now a law that is passed about transparency and they still aren't being completely transparent, it raises questions. On top of Todd Blanche in every act while he was acting, doing as many things possible to accommodate Donald Trump's promises of retribution, especially with the backdrop of Pam Bondi getting fired because Donald Trump didn't think she did it well enough. So when that fact pattern happens,
that part is going to be a problem for him on Capitol Hill. John Cornyn says being Attorney General is probably one of the hardest jobs in the cabinet because you're working for the president, but you're also supposed to be able to tell the president no.
Yes.
As the lead lawyer for the country, I'm going to let the process work. And Tom Tillis also says he probably wants to see something on the actual dissolution of the slush fund before he would consider it. So, yeah, Todd Blanche is probably going to have to answer. Is he willing to tell President Trump no, or does he just think that President Trump is still his client like he was in the private sector?
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on here. One, I think Pam Bondi has absolutely laid the groundwork for Todd Blanche to have a difficult confirmation. And I think she used her time in that closed-door session where she was sworn under oath in front of Congress as the former Attorney General and as Todd Blanche's former boss to say he ran the whole process and he was in charge of the whole release and the Dow's at 50,000, right? And so she's now laid the groundwork for that to be a confirmation where Democrats can essentially have a layup and say, there's no way I could vote for this guy. I can't. This is about women. This is about protecting. Because like you said, other people have noticed this has been a politically toxic issue for the president. I'm sure there's a lot we're going to disagree on, but on the topic of the slush fund and answering to the president, I think we should agree on the facts. And what the facts are is that the creation of this fund, it's not a slush fund, it's an anti-weaponization fund. Why do we have the fund? Okay. Why do we have the fund?
Because Donald Trump wants it.
Because Charles Littlejohn.
Reward the rioters,
Let's go through some yes or no questions. IRS contractor Charles Littlejohn pled guilty to leaking President Trump's tax returns. Yes or no?
Yes.
Before we go,
he
there,
also pled
400,000
guilty.
other Americans.
He also pled guilty.
400,000
So
other
we know. Then we also have
but why does Trump get $1 billion?
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with a $1.8 billion fund that Trump explicitly said this week was to compensate January 6th rioters who he pardoned?
I think because there are a number of people who have felt the full weight of the weaponization of the government.
He said this week when he was asked about the fund, he said, I'm proud I pardoned these people, and they deserve money from the government.
Yeah,
That's
because
what
we
he
had
wants the fund
grandmas
to
who
be
were in
about.
jail for 2 years. We had people who did not commit violent crimes while we watched people do
there
BLM
are many
riots
people who
in
did
Minnesota
commit
and watched
violent
Democrats put
crimes.
up links saying donate to
There
relieve
are
them from
many
jail.
people who did commit violent crimes, and the president himself has said that he wants them to be compensated.
This is a joke.
I'm not
And
just talking about.
I'm really embarrassed for you that you have to defend this, because even Republican senators on the Hill are saying that this is ridiculous. And Donald Trump isn't doing himself any favors by pushing
Did
this.
the Justice Department have to apologize to Donald Trump? Yes or
You know
no?
what? I let you speak
No.
the whole
Yes or
time.
no?
I let you
No.
speak. I didn't
Yes.
interrupt you. Okay? So thank you. Donald Trump is even in trouble now because we've got Tom Tillis, you've got Cassidy, you've got Cornyn, all these people who are raising questions about Trump's decision making here. And I think the big problem is there used to be this principle in the Justice Department called avoiding the appearance of impropriety. I don't think they care about avoiding the appearance of impropriety.
It's 2 a.m. Yeah, I'm wide awake, scrolling through every move you make. You said I'm fine, yeah, classic you, but I know that line ain't ever true. Got your hoodie still in my room, smells like a cheap cologne perfume. Tryna act like I don't care, but your ghost is everywhere. You say we're good, but we're not the same. Now I'm dancing in the pouring rain. Thought we were forever, guess I was wrong. Now I'm just another sad love song. You left me on red, yeah, no reply. Got me overthinking every night. Was it real or just a vibe? Guess I'll never know this time. You said ride or die, and you dipped so fast. Now I'm stuck living in the past. Yeah, you played me like a game instead. Now I'm crying 'cause you left me on red. 'Cause you left me on red. Your playlist still got my name, but you don't feel the same. That's insane. Posting pics like you're okay while I'm breaking every single day. You said no drama, no goodbyes, but you vanished like a lullaby. Now I'm staring at my screen like, what did you really mean? Every text I never sent, every word I still regret. You moved on like nothing's wrong while I'm stuck inside this song. You left me on red, yeah, no reply. Got me overthinking every night. Was it real or just a vibe? Guess I'll never know this time. You said ride or die, then you dipped so fast. Now I'm stuck living in the past. Yeah, you played me like a game instead. Now I'm crying 'cause you left me on red. Maybe I was just a phase, just a spark that fades away. But you were my whole damn sky. Now I'm learning how to say goodbye. Yeah, I'm done with your mixed signals. Your late night, I miss your riddles. You lost me, yeah, that's your loss. Now I'm stronger, I'm my own boss. You left me on red, but now I'm fine. Got my heart back, yeah, it's mine. Wasn't love just a disguise? Now I see through all your lies. You said ride or die, but I survived. Now I'm finally feeling alive. Yeah, you broke me, but instead I found myself when you left me on red. 2 a.m. but I'm okay. No more tears, I walked away. You lost me, yeah, that's the end. No reply, I hit send.